Namaste. This is Vivekanand. Welcome to this tutorial on this is a HOA about BLAB. BLAB is a new platform which has been in the news on the internet since last few days, months, weeks, and so on. But let me introduce the viewers to a familiar face. David,
Yes.
tell us why
I
we are here. You are the marketing guy.
why we are. I guess the why was the two of us, but I'm just joking. We're here basically because Vivek and I just started a series of blabs. The technology was brought to my attention about 2 weeks ago now. A friend of mine, Stan Bush, invited me to one of his blabs, and basically for the purpose of just showing me the technology, because he knew that I would be interested and probably intrigued with it as a marketing person. And I said yes. No, I said yes to the blab, and yes, I was very intrigued with the concept. So I immediately, as soon as it was completed, contacted Vivek. He and I collaborate on issues where technology interacts with marketing and sales and small business. That's what we do. And we decided, and we'll go into this a little bit later. I don't know if we'll put it later. Vivek, maybe you want to post a link to our audit. But and by the way, I didn't tell you this. I have an exciting announcement to make about our audit in this afternoon's blab.
Okay.
Yes. Anyway, it's interesting technology, and we're learning. But I'm learning obviously from a marketing and sales perspective. Vivek is learning from a technology, and every day he finds something new, and he plays around with it, and he some days he gets motivated to write some code to make it do something that he wants it to do, and whatever. I mean, that's what he does. And today I was asking, we were reviewing we've done 6 blabs already. Today's our 7th. And I was asking you some questions, and you said, you know what, David, let's make a tutorial out of it so that not only do I answer your questions that you just raised, but we can share that response with any smart person who wants to read our Google Plus postings, our blab during whatever it is, however it is. It's important information, and we just wanted to make it available to anybody who might take the time to watch. So that's why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah. As already mentioned, BLAB is a new technology. It is still in beta. So that is a key aspect to be remembered by everyone who is getting into BLAB, thinking of BLAB, and so on. So why would anyone want to use BLAB? Yeah, now Google has been accused of being, making the Hangouts on air a bit more complicated than what it should be, but it's an accusation. I don't agree with that. Bit more about that I would come to later on. But why would anyone want to use BLAB? With Google Plus, we attract lots of folks who we know from Google Plus world. That's Hangouts on Air lets you do that. But folks on Twitter are largely averse to Google. They are not on Google Plus, lots of them. And BLAB allows the Twitter people to interact. Uh, one point with Blab, I think, is I think I suppose they would agree with me. Twitter folks,
Me agree with you. Oh, yes.
Twitter folks who we did not know before, we got to know in the process of doing our blabs. So um, it does allow lots of people to jump into your blab and so on. Okay. Now I have a short agenda. Um, Richard Santororo says on the event page that Google Hangouts are more stable. Yes, Google Hangouts has been there since
Three
a
plus
long,
years.
long time.
3+ years.
Yeah. So Blab is a new platform.
In beta
As I
test.
said, it's in beta, so can't really hold that against Blab. Can't treat the um, stability as the only advantage for Google Plus. It is advantage, but
If I might interject something real quickly, Vivek, use Blab just because it's available. It may or may not work for you. Conceptually work for you, or it just the results that you get from it isn't necessarily what you want to see. But the important point is that as small business owners, when technology like this is made available to us, we got to take a look at it and see if it's applicable to our business. You don't have to use it because everybody else is using it. And I was going to make a comment, an editorial comment about an opening statement you made, Vivek, with folks who are coming over to Blab and making negative statements about HOAs. That is, from a marketing perspective, that makes no sense whatsoever. But we'll move on and get into.
I wouldn't say anything negative about anything because it doesn't add anything. It only subtracts negative.
And sometimes it makes a person making the statement. So.
Okay. Yeah, so the Blab adds value. That's the second item on my agenda. Blab adds value by increased engagement with folks who are not familiar with Google Plus, with folks who have different way of interacting with the internet and so on. So that's how Blab would add value. But Blab is, people who use Blab are by and large Twitter users. So that's one aspect.
Which raises another question I'd like to interject too, Vivek. You've done a lot more tweeting in the last months than I have. I was not a big Twitter user, and as you and I discussed what some of our joint marketing ventures ought to be, Twitter was high on the list because it has a lot of users. Is it going to work for our business? We don't know if it's going to work for our business or not. We can safely make the statement in the week and a half that we've been fooling around with it, we have seen positive impact in what we are trying to do.
Yeah. Twitter needs more volume. Twitter is more of a volume game. And I would give the analogy which I used yesterday in the Blab itself. Blab is like a drawbridge to your castle. Someone waves at you from the other end across the and you drop the drawbridge. People come in and you interact with them, but you own the castle, and your castle is the HOA. HOA is your castle. Blab is for casual interaction. It's a opening interaction. You interact with people, you talk to them, find out what they do, Are they worthy of being invited into the castle? That's a decision which you would have to make. And then you invite them into the castle.
And we're going to have some ground rules on our castle to be presented later on today, aren't we, Vivek?
Yes. Okay, there are the third item on the agenda is what are the aspects of the BLAB that you need to be aware of, and how to increase your marketing return on investment. Let me do a screen share.
Screen share. We weren't able to do a screen share in BLAB yesterday. Maybe version 2.
Yeah, that's one aspect which cannot be done on a BLAB. Screen sharing is difficult. You can use different complicated tools, multicast and screencast and all different kinds of tools. I have not used them. They do put additional load on your computer, which is why I don't like them. But okay, I'm doing the screen share. So this is the BLAB.
I had a question before you left that page.
Yeah, this is the BLAB homepage. As you go into BLAB, these are the you would see all these things, BLABs that are going on. You can start a new BLAB, which is equivalent to starting a new HOA. But there are a few technical issues there, as in when you schedule a BLAB, you may or may not get a calendar event. You may or may not get even an email about your own schedule. It depends on your own settings, which is a bit of a strange thing to happen, but it's understandable because BLAB is a different platform. It's also in beta. And if you are scheduling things and you are thinking of using BLAB, that's one aspect you have to be aware of. You schedule a BLAB. Yeah, it presents you with this simple looking interface. You key in the title, you put certain tags, and then you set a time and date. Yes, all that is fine. You will be able to schedule it, but you will not get a reminder. You will not get a prompt on your screen or anything which says that your own BLAB is scheduled to go on air in the next 10 minutes or anything like that. It doesn't happen. So that's one aspect. That is how to schedule a BLAB. I'm not going to go into details about that. It says the title has to be less than 80 characters. That's one limitation. That's because once you start the BLAB, you will be able to tweet about the BLAB. So the title is part of that tweet. So that's why they are putting additional limitations on the length of the title. Okay. Now, once you have the BLAB scheduled and so on, you can look up you can search. But the search is a little bit not very refined. It's a bit you have to key in the exact term, otherwise it won't find anything. For example, we have been David and myself have been doing these BLABs. Seventh one is scheduled today, 4:30 p.m. my time, which is British Standard Time, British Summer Time. Sorry, but okay. The point here is the search capabilities are limited. So if you are looking for your own scheduled blabs, that is one aspect you need to be aware of.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
Were you and I blabbing with a slice of pizza yesterday?
Yeah. That is an aspect which I would be covering. Okay, we are looking at the replay screen here, and this is very similar to what happens even when you actually uh, start your own blab. When you host a blab, very similar to this. There would be another button here which says record or off the record. There is a sliding switch which you can slide to record it or not record it. One aspect everyone has to be aware of is the moment you start a blab, you are visible to the public. So there is nothing like this is as against in a HOA environment. In a HOA environment, you could be in the green room before you hit the start broadcast button, and then you would have a end broadcast button to get back into the post-show green room. All those things do not exist with Blab.
And that's not just that. And if I might interject, that's not necessarily a negative. I think maybe you touched upon it, Vivek, and let's reemphasize the fact. Well, you absolutely said that the current version is a beta version of Blab. In the beta version, I'm sure the folks at Blab want to keep their investment as minimal as possible until they realize that people are going to use it. And in fact, it brings value to the folks who use it. It brings value to the folks who are not necessarily producers of blabs, but folks who view blabs. Once they have their hands around that, and it's not going to take them too long, I'm sure they're seeing a lot of usage of this technology right now. They will start to fine tune those things that need refinement. And you've hit upon a couple of those already. They're simple things, but it costs dollars to develop them, and they're going to invest their dollars as wisely as they possibly can. Now, they may have an investor loving what they're doing right now, and I'm talking now as a small business entrepreneur. They may have an investor that's watching a blab and says, "Wow, I love this stuff. I want to put $1 billion of my own money into this technology and grow with it because A, it's good, and B, and Ronnie Bincer made this point in a posting I saw this morning, that eventually Blab is going to have to figure out how to monetize what it is that they're doing if they're going to exist. So just a little interjection. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Okay, so what I was saying was that this is the similar interface. You would see the same interface if you play, if you go to watch a replay. These are on the right hand side, you would see these comments. When you host the blab and people join, you would see their Twitter handle. These are their Twitter handles, and these are the Twitter profile images. That is one aspect you have to be aware of. You will not see their Google Plus profile images, but you will see their Twitter profile images and their Twitter handles, which means it makes it slightly more difficult to understand who they are. For example, this particular individual here, I cannot determine what they are or what they do, how that is the Twitter world. But the point is, okay, these have joined. They joined when this BLAB was live. This was yesterday's BLAB, and it appears here we can mention their names and invite them to jump into the BLAB. One difference between BLAB and Hangouts on Air. For Hangouts on Air, the host has to invite the viewer, the potential host. So it's the major action has to be taken by the host. Host has to invite somebody in the Hangout on Air scenario. Whereas here, it's the visitor, whoever joins can request a seat. They can request a seat. They can knock on your door. They can knock on your, they're standing in front of the channel.
On the drawbridge.
Yeah, filled with the alligators or whatever, sharks.
Sharks, probably. Maybe some whales.
And they would be waving, and it's up to you to either let them in or ignore them. Now, here is one problem, if you will. All you see here on the right-hand side is their Twitter handle. So if there is a Twitter handle which you are not familiar with, who it is handled by, who it is, or if the Twitter handle is a strange sounding name, then you will have difficulty. Let me
ask you a naive question that I never really thought about till I'm watching you do this, Vivek. Why? And here's a good answer. You've got Brandon Krieger at the bottom of the comment stream right there. One time it says Brandon Krieger, the next time it says at Brandon Krieger. I naively thought.
The first one is when they join, that's their, it says Brandon Krieger.
And then
at, it says at when they say something on the event stream. Somebody joins and then says, for example, here during this BLAB yesterday, Chef Dennis joined the BLAB, which I think you can see up here, or no. I think in the current state, it retains only the last 100 or so messages, comments here. So probably Chef Dennis joined the BLAB earlier, joined as a viewer, and then he said, "Hi guys." So at that point, when he commented by typing something cool, as the prompt here says, he typed something cool by saying, "Hi guys." So that's when this happens. The point is, at this point, as a host, I can only see his Twitter ID. It says at Ask Chef Dennis. That is clear enough. And his profile image is also not very clear, but if I zoom in, it may be easier to see that it is actually Chef Dennis. The point I was trying to make was here, this person. When I look at this Twitter handle, I can't see who this person is. I cannot determine who this person is. The Twitter handle doesn't convey anything meaningful to me. It looks like someone who is trying to sell cheap pizza. Uh, so here is the drawback. When they want to, when people join and they interact, you would not know who they are. So you have to somehow prompt them to say their name or who they are, etc. And then maybe you decide to let them in. They can ask to join, but you will have to make a decision whether to let them in or not. So that is the difficulty. So, okay, coming
Well,
back to
let
the.
me ask another question. These comments that we're looking at on the right hand side,
Mhm.
do they stay inside the blab, or do they go outside into a Twitter feed someplace?
I think these remain within the BLAB stream, because I'm thinking I have to base my what I'm saying only on logic, nothing else. I'm not 100% sure about that. I'm assuming, mainly because here on the right hand side there is this blue button which says "Tell a Little Bird," and when you click that, it actually tweets out
Promotes the
this
event.
message.
Yes. You know, it's kind of interesting because
So when you, in other words, by logic, it means that if I say something here, it doesn't tweet out. So to tweet out, I have to use this button here.
but you so on a user screen, somebody who's just watching a blab, they would
Hmm.
have the opportunity to create a tweet.
Yeah, they
Vivek just
can.
said
They can.
Vivek just said this, and they tweet that.
Yeah, they can do that. Yes,
Okay.
but if they interact here, these comments I heard from I think it was Ronnie Binzer, or was it Mark Trapegan? I think it was Mark Trapegan who said that the BLAB developers are saying that the number of comments that are visible here or saved here at the moment is some 100 or something, and they are thinking of increasing the number and thinking of changing the interface slightly and so on and so forth. Okay, but the point I'm now trying to make is this comment thing here provides the host to interact with whoever is watching, whoever is viewing their blab. They do that by on a Google Plus Hangout and event page and so on. You typically key in the plus sign followed by their first few letters of their name, and the browser will prompt you with the full name and all that. It doesn't happen here. Here, if they have said something, then if they have said, for example, this person said fasting will work for prostate cancer. He was responding to something that was being said on the blab. So if they say comments like that, it appears here, and then these two little icons will be visible. If you move the mouse over here, you see the star. When you star it, click on the star, you are making the tweet a favorite one. If you click on this button here, that Twitter handle gets copied into this. Let me show it to you. For example, if I want to respond to Chef Dennis, when he said that, I click on that, his Twitter handle gets copied here, and then I can say what I want to say. I can say that. I can say that there and hit enter, it would go into this comment stream. I'm not going to do that now, but that's what happens during a live show. And as it is now, I think only 100 comments will remain. So that's one of the reasons why I don't want to add more junk comments in there, because some of the comments here I may want to retain.
If
Okay.
I might interject something else, and the comment was actually made yesterday in our BLAB, because the topic of discussion yesterday was should you have a YouTube channel? And one of the comments made yesterday by Mark, as a matter of fact, was that one of the big differences he sees is that YouTube, of course, is the second largest search engine in the world. So when you go to YouTube and do a search, you can find information on what it is that you want. You made the point very clearly a few minutes ago that one of the things you feel needs great improvement as far as BLAB is concerned is the search engine capability. Maybe that's not going to be a big factor with them. Who knows? I mean, they're still in beta. They're still in beta.
Yeah.
Now, there's another point I want to.
I think, yeah, I think the hold that train of thought. Um, Search engine capability, if BLAB wants to equal that of YouTube, they have to become the Google. They have to become Google.
Well, that's kind of a segue into a statement that I want to make, and it's purely speculation. We know that Google is indexing tweets. Is that correct? And the fact that there is some kind of connection between Twitter and BLABs that we don't know. I mean, there's a lot of speculation on what it may or may not be. We do know that when you BLAB, you can tweet, and it becomes an important aspect of the concept. Well, having said that, you and I know for sure that Google is watching BLABs very, very closely to see what kind of technology that they are using, because maybe it would make sense for Google to invest in BLAB and let BLAB do its thing and let HOAs do its thing, and everything gets put up under the Google search engine. Google is in the search business, pure and simple, and their business objective is that to provide the very best information they possibly can, that when you go to Google and search for information, they deliver the very best search results. So it would make a lot of sense for them, because now BLAB just becomes another communication channel. People are talking, people are saying things, people are establishing, their reputations, if you will, and it would be a wonderful business investment for Google. Maybe I should broker that deal. What do you think, Vivek?
Okay. Coming back to increasing, how can you increase your return on investment using because this right hand side column here gives you an opportunity to interact with these people directly there if they have said something, and they can interact with you if you have said something by easily clicking on that button there. So whoever is the host and the active participants of a BLAB, it makes sense if they put at least a hello message here in the comment stream. When they do that, their Twitter handle, their profile image that appears here, and then that would help increase the chance that you would have, you have a greater chance of getting a return on your investment. because you have said hello there. It makes it easier for them to respond to you. And during the show, on the you would see 4 images there. Let me start this, and you would see 4 of these images there. And during the live show, you would see the Twitter handle appear here on each image. There could be 4 of them, so 4, you can see those 4. And next to each of the names, you would see a little button there, which if you click on that, you would follow that particular individual. So if you're watching a BLAB hosted by me and David, for example, when you're watching it live, you would see that little label there, which would tell you my Twitter handle, and next to it there will be a button which allows you to start following me. And that
So, I was going to ask, so we're at that point, you and I were, quote, in the green room because you had not hit the broadcast button.
no, there is no
There's not a green room, and that's not what I'm getting at. But we were you and I were just having some casual conversation at that point, yet we were visible to anybody who was watching.
There is no such thing as a green room when it comes to BLAB. The moment you start the BLAB, you are visible to the rest of the world. The only thing that you have control over, if you can call it that, is there is a record button. If you don't press that record button, then nothing gets recorded. You would be talking, discussing, and nothing happens, and it's not recorded. It just you just talk. But if you hit the record button, then after you close the BLAB, you would get an email from BLAB with 2 links. It will give you 2 links. One link will be, as a host, you will get 2 links. First link would be an audio file of your BLAB. The second link would be the video file. So they'll give you 2 links, which would allow you to either download it or play it. It will also give you a link or code to embed the video into your website, so that the email contains 3 main aspects. One is the audio file, link to audio file, link to video file, and embed code. So 3 items.
I've seen a lot of discussion, Vivek, and it's very, very important. It's one of the strengths of BLAB technology is that on that audio file, it very, very easily converts to a podcast.
Yeah.
And I read that. I've read it 3 times today already in certain discussions I've seen. So that's key. That's very, very key.
That is key. I agree. But there is, I have actually come to the third point there, drawbacks and the limitations of BLAB. First is, yes, as you said, you would get these 3 links in an email, and you can, you as a host don't have to do anything special to create a podcast. You have the audio file already. In the old, if you are doing a HOA, you will have to download the HOA file and separate the audio from the video, and that audio file you'll have to do a bit of processing, store it separately, and then use it for your podcast. Whereas here with the BLAB, that podcast part is more or less taken care of. You get a link to the audio file, and yes, you can use it directly. Whereas the video file is a slightly different uh, issue, in the sense you get a video file which you have to download, do any processing if you want to, and then you have to separately upload that video file to your YouTube channel. Now, with a Hangout on Air, the YouTube part happens automatically. You hit the broadcast button, it's created as a YouTube. With the BLAB, it's not so. With the BLAB, the video file is created on the BLAB's own site, and they will give you a link to download it, embed it, and a separate link to the podcast file. But it's not visible to the general public as yet. That's one aspect. The second is BLAB is not available on Android. It is not available on Chrome. It's not available on Chromebook.
Boo.
It's available as it is now. It's available only on a Windows machine. I think it is available on a Linux machine and Apple devices. But it is not available on Chromebook. It's not available on Android devices. So that is one big drawback. So whoever is actually jumping up and down and saying we are going to ditch Google Plus and Hangouts on Air, it was so difficult, so problematic, and this is so easy. And yes, it's only easy at the moment. It's very easy if you have a Apple device. If you have an Android device, sorry, you can't.
Boo. Well, you and I, we ran into this yesterday because as we were doing our blabs, I was having some time concerns about that particular day. And I said, well, I don't know that I can be sitting at my desk, but I've got my Chromebook that I have with me. I can just do the blab from wherever I am. I've got my Chromebook. And you said, no, David, you can't do it with your Chromebook or your Android that I just got. It would have been a convenience factor for us to be able to do that.
So, and that aspect may change anytime. Let me be very clear and specific about that. That aspect may change anytime. For example, as it is now, if you look at the BLAB site, you see the download on the App Store logo there, but you're not seeing anything to do with Google, anything to do with the Android. So maybe this space here, which they have left blank, they will put the Google Play Store logo. Maybe, I don't know.
It's up for sale for $1 billion.
Yeah.
Oh wow! There's the monetization, Ronnie. There's how Blab is going to monetize.
So BLAB, those are the limitations. The YouTube part, you have to take care. You have to download the file and then upload it. Podcast is taken care of. You get a audio file separately, which you can do what you want with it. Create a DVD, I don't know what, maybe MP3 file, or upload it to audiobook servers, Audible, I don't know, podcast servers. I have not really been into podcasting, so.
Which we need to get into.
It has its advantages, it has its drawbacks. Okay, with regard to podcast, here is my view. Podcasts are good when you know who is talking. You would listen to a podcast if that whoever is talking or whoever is talking about either the topic or the person who is talking has to be familiar with you, has to be, you need to connect with them, you have to trust them. Only then podcast is useful. um, of course podcast has been in the on the internet for a long time, simply because creating a video has been a difficult thing to do so far. That's why it was easy to create a audio file using your own technology, using your own computers or a recording device, create audio file, create a mp3 file, upload it to a, and you create a podcast. Yes, but video has been difficult. That's why so far uh, Hangouts made it easier, and now we have BLAB, another platform where video becomes easier to create. So with regard to podcasts, I would say first you have to establish trust with the listener, with the audience. Then once you have the trust, and then if you create a podcast, they would probably listen to you while doing their gym exercises, while walking their dog, while cooking something in the kitchen, whatever. But first step has to be establish trust, which is easier to do with a video. I think I have come to what I have completed what I wanted to say. David, you want to add anything more?
I have maybe a stupid question that I'm not going to ask. I'll ask you privately. It may be too stupid of a question to ask, but I was just thinking about, could we do something? And if the answer is yes, we can do it. It'd be extremely powerful for me.
Oh,
And
yeah. I forgot to mention one important aspect. Silly me. Let me bring that up quickly. Twitter. I have created a Twitter tool which allows me to keep tweeting a few tweets over and over again. That would increase the visibility of me. So I have created that tool. It is still in beta. So whoever is watching this video, if they want to be part of the beta test team, please do let me know. And the advantage is you can have up to 30 or so different tweets. They would be tweeted every how I have set them up now is I use a Google spreadsheet. I put the tweet text in the spreadsheet, and this tool which I have developed will tweet that message on a periodic basis over and over again. That's what Twitter is. Okay, David.
you're really a smart guy. It's all fascinating stuff, and it's fun, having a collaboration with you as you look at the world from a technology. How does that work? I can make it work. Also, kind of mentality, and I look at the world as a marketing and salesperson and say, how can we market that? How can we sell that? And it's been fun, exploring new technology. And this is really probably the first time you and I have done it as extensively as we are doing it with BLAB. It's
Mm.
probably, I mean, we've talked about a lot of things, but now we're doing them, comparing notes, testing, discussing what just happened, discussing what just didn't happen, you know, just all kinds of things. And that's back to the point. And I'll make it again because it's an important point. Small business owners, not everything is going to work for everybody. Not all kinds of marketing will work for everybody. I'm a traditional marketer. There's certain things from my past, certain things that I did 40 years ago. I'll do the same thing today because you know why? It worked 40 years ago and I try it and it still works today. So I do it. Why would I not do it?
But
Well,
no, the point you're making is not everything works that way.
no. I'd be in deep trouble if it was everything. Because how can I employ everything to work? It's just I'm a one-person operation. So it's important to look at it, try it, see if it's applicable to you, see if you can make it work for your business. If you can't, you can't. But the important thing that you must always remember: simplify, integrate, simplify life. That's our mantra.
Yeah.
And we're sticking by it.
Yeah. Integration has to come first. Then simplification happens after that. And then you lead a happy life. So I am going to close this tutorial today unless you have anything special to ask or okay. So I'm closing this tutorial. Integrate.
If you have anything to ask and you forgot about it, bring it to our BLAB this afternoon at 11:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, 4:30 my time, evening, British summertime. So see you in the BLAB, but till then, integrate, simplify life. Thank you.